All right, Congressman Brian Mast joins me now. He was in the room today for all of this. And, sir, it's good to have you on. What was the most important takeaway for Americans from this hearing today?
I'll give you two takeaways. So, number one, testimony from Sergeant Vargas-Andrews, amputee, Marine Corps, was on the Abbey Gate wall when that bomb went off on August 26th. Lost 13 of his friends that day. Marine Corps sniper was given intel on who to look for that day in terms of what they were looking for a bomber. Believes he identified the bomber before the bomber was ever even in place to set off that device. And we're not talking about for 1 or 2 minutes, as in he was following around that bomber for a period of time through the scope of his rifle, his team looking at him, and asked for authority to engage the individual, never got that authority. Was this individual that nearly lost his life was never asked by one government agency about what he saw, what he witnessed. Did he think he had the bomber in his sights? What could have happened? The U.S. government to this moment hasn't been interested in hearing any facts on this.
He lost his arm and his leg. You served. You had a similar experience losing your legs. This is a man who could have saved 13 service members and his own body, and he said this today. Let's take a listen.
The withdrawal was a catastrophe, in my opinion, and there was an inexcusable lack of accountability and negligence. The 11 Marines, 1 sailor, and 1 soldier that were murdered that day have not been answered for.
So I mentioned it going in, Congressman, but you were hit by an IED yourself. Sitting there watching that Marine give that testimony with tears in his eyes, that's not easy to do.
No. I asked Sergeant a question afterwards, after I asked him about, did the FBI or the CIA or the Marine Corps or the Pentagon or the Joint Chiefs or the Secretary of State or anybody, did anybody care to talk to him about what he witnessed, what had happened, not just that day, but in the 10 days and nights that he had been on that wall, witnessing thousands of people try to come through and get out of Afghanistan, people being executed in front of him, you name it. And I said, how does it make you feel that the government has zero interest in talking to you about this? Nobody. And he said, it makes him feel like nobody cares about what he did or cares about his service whatsoever. Yeah. And unfortunately, that's the place that many unfortunately got to as a result of the withdrawal that did not have to happen in that way.
And what it really proves is that when the government has a black eye, when the government doesn't have something that's useful, or the party in power doesn't have something that's useful, it's very easy for them to ignore even something as major and tragic as this was. I think that's what we really learned today, and that was some of the worst part of it, was listening to what he described, the humanity that he saw in the work that he did there, coming so close to getting the guy and then being blown up by the same person. It was just astonishing testimony. As for the other party, the Democrats did a lot of what they always do in situations like this. They blame somebody else. In this case, they blame the administration of Donald Trump. Take a listen.
When the Trump administration pressured the Afghan government to free 5,000 Taliban fighters, it affected events on the ground. When the Trump administration negotiated directly with the Taliban, undermining the Afghan government, it affected events on the ground. And when the Trump administration dismantled our nation's refugee programs, it impacted events on the ground.
In total, these policy decisions not only altered the balance of power and reduced U.S. leverage in Afghanistan, but created incredibly difficult circumstances.
So we use this word a lot because this is something that they do a lot. This is obfuscation. Obviously, there were mistakes made, I think, by every administration for the past 20 years on this war. But at the end of the day, it was the way that we pulled out. It was the manner of which we did it. They're blaming things that had nothing to do with the situation that they were handed in August of 2021.
You look at this situation, and I believe any rational person across America, regardless of political party, they know that what happened with that withdrawal, it was the biggest catastrophe. It was an abandonment. It did not happen right. No matter what, no matter your political party, it's obvious to everybody. But in this hearing, what you saw, and you didn't get the chance to play it right there. But not only did they take the opportunity to say everything was Donald Trump's fault, Joe Biden bears no blame in the withdrawal that he decided to do. He must not have been inaugurated on January 19 of 21. That must not have happened. And he didn't get to make decisions at that point because it was all President Trump. But they went beyond that. And they went beyond that to say that they were looking for a pat on the back for Joe Biden. He should be getting applause. He should be getting revered for what he did in getting everybody out of there. And that's not the case. The reality is it would be the equivalent of sinking a boat and then him asking for applause because he sent out lifeboats to try to save the people that were floating in the water. And that's literally what the Democrats were doing. Donald Trump is the worst, and he's to blame for everything. And Joe Biden, we should all be clapping our hands for him. And it's beyond insulting to every person that put on a uniform.
Yes, to yourself, to the people that were there, to the soldiers that testified. I completely agree. Congressman, thank you so much for your time tonight and for your service. We do appreciate it.
Wish you the best.